Makes me feel uncomfortable that you guys know each other.
Oh yeah, way back, man.
Sevan, we met in 2018 at the Atlanta airport. Really?
Yeah, and now it has brought us back to old Santa Claus's beard over here, and
I look 30 years older since the last time you saw me, huh?
yeah, I mean it's just a little. There's a little bit more there, but hey, I'm catching up to you. Probably with each kid.
Do you have grays, Travis?
Yeah, man, this is all gray.
Time to retire.
Nah, man, we're just getting started.
I wonder how many competitors have gray hair.
Depending on what division. Are we talking masters or are we talking...
No, we're talking about the 30 and under. What is masters now, 30 to 35?
Nah, man, 35.
How old are you?
30.
Travis, what is the goal?
In life? What are we talking? We're talking CrossFit? We're talking fitness?
Yeah, I know you don't know what the goals are for life. I'm talking about like what you do know about.
Yeah, no.
The goal?
I mean, the goals are to win. I mean, go to the games and win at the games. That's ultimately what I'm training for and what I kind of do every day, and what that's focused on is getting to that point.
But I feel like I heard you say that somewhere I read that you were not going to that there were certain goals you wanted to achieve. And it was a little ambiguous, and I started thinking, oh, does his goal to get on the podium? Is his goal to, like, what's his goal? Like, is there?
Yeah, I mean, I think each year it's always kind of varied and changed based off of circumstances, how I feel like my training has progressed, how I feel like I am as an athlete, how I've developed over the years. And I mean, at each point, like right now I'm going into it with the mindset of I'm going to win. And I think over the last probably 6-7 months, things have just started to click for me and kind of feel dialed in. And I think this weekend showed me a few more areas to work on to improve. But at the end of the day, the goal going in is to win.
Are you tempted? Have you been tempted to take any performance enhancing drugs?
No, never.
Hey man,
have you?
Yeah, I have. Not in a not when Ricky Gerard popped, and that was the first time I heard Gerard. That was the first time I heard about SARMs.
Yeah, so you just
I actually went online with the intention of ordering them, but fucking like whatever the kind that people were saying he took, like I looked everywhere and they were out of stock, and then 1 week later that was off kind of like my to-do list, so I never got around.
So now you're bringing it back up to the forefront of actually trying now.
I just think when I hear,
maybe it'll help your beard.
I would just do it just for the experience, but when I hear people say, like when I hear Matt say on the podcast, I would win it. The goal was to win at any cost. I think, holy shit! Like you've dedicated your entire fucking life to this. I mean, how long have you been messing with CrossFit?
2011. So in 2011, I got into it at the end of October 2010, and then so technically, like my first open was the first year they had it in 2011, and I took 61st, so I missed it by 1. And then in 2012, I fractured my L5, and then 2013 was like my first like full year of being healthy, and then qualified in 13.
Yeah, so at some point you're just like, okay, I'm 11 or 12 years into this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. But that doesn't involve PEDs.
Not
That's
drugs. Yeah, drugs has never crossed my mind to get to a point of that. I mean, if you can't tell by ever looking at me, I look like I'm a janitor at a high school. So from that side of things, I mean, I'm definitely not looking like it if I was.
I don't know. Maybe you always keep your shirt on to hide those spider veins and shit.
Oh yeah, can't you tell, man?
No, you're the janitor at the high school in the movie, but then halfway through the movie, we found out you have this other life, and you're just phenomenal in some domain.
There's something there. Yeah, I really just keep my shirt on because I don't want to blind people with how pale I am. So.
And it wasn't the janitor on The Simpsons. Wasn't that old guy just yoked as shit? Like he takes off his shirt and he's just obviously abusing. Does anyone do you think anyone you train with uses them?
No, at least not to my knowledge of not knowing. I mean, I don't. How about this? I don't personally know anybody that is on anything, or at least been vocal enough to say, "Hey, I'm on something." I've heard of people after they've gotten out of their career admit that they were on stuff, but nobody during the right now. Like, I have no clue. No one has said anything to me.
Yeah, in all the years that I was involved, I never heard anyone ever talk about doing them, or never.
Sevan, why are you so quiet?
And am I quiet? I think it's your headphones, because I'm registering good on the podcast. Can you hear me okay, Travis?
Yeah.
Well, that's all that matters. Yeah, I never saw or heard anyone either, and I'm trying to think of anyone prominent. The only two person I ever know who popped was Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's, of course, like the main one that everybody knows about, just based off how everything kind of went down with that situation. But I mean, I don't know anybody personally or anybody that has mentioned anything, at least been vocal about it while they're in their career. I've heard of people when they got out, they were like, "Yeah, I was on something," but.
Do you get drug tested? Have you ever had one of those surprise drug tests?
Yeah, I think it was a week and a half ago, and then at the end of the Mid-Atlantic, I was just tested again.
Which was like 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I got home. We drove home this morning at 9:00, so I got in at 1. But yeah, we were tested last night, pretty much at this time. I was tested.
24
hours. I would
hours.
never test you. If I was in charge, I would never test you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I
almost wish they would do
a waste.
It's
waste of a
It
test.
takes me forever because I literally empty the tank before I'm done, or before I go onto the floor for the final workout, and then I knew immediately when we were done we were going to be drug tested. And then I was like, wow, this is going to take forever. So then it takes me an hour and something before I got to pee again because I got nothing in my system. We got to be able to do it beforehand.
I've never worked out so hard that I couldn't pee. I think I could pee on demand. Like, I could pee, and then you could be like, Sevan, pee again, and I could just pee again.
Nope.
No, I'm totally with Travis on this one. And then the last event, you leave everything there. You've sweat the rest of it out anyway. I think they should.
I'm trying to be as light as I can going onto the floor.
Yeah.
What say that again?
I said I don't need the extra weight in my body, so I'm gonna get it all out. And it's the nervous. It's the nervous piece.
Yeah. What's the most memorable moment from this week?
For me, it was probably the snatch. That for me was like a big milestone of hitting, and I've hit 295 a few times, and it's always just been so close at 300. And I think to be able to hit it under the lights and capture in that setting, Max was always like, "Save it for the competition, save it for the competition," and to be able to actually hit it, trusting my jumps, where I was going, the numbers I was going to try to do, and then just see what everybody else in the field kind of hit, and then made a last-minute decision instead of going 295 to go to 300, and then along with 12 other people apparently that can snatch 300 pounds now. That for me was something that I've worked a lot on over the past few years of getting that movement specifically dialed in, and to be able to do that was I was pretty pumped up about that.
Travis, I mean, that for
How tall are you?
For me, yeah, 7.
Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
Watching that snatch, the last heat of the snatch workout at home was, I mean, it was crazy because not every guy hit 300, but I feel like even the guys that didn't hit the number they wanted. I think 285 was a big deal for Medeiros and a couple other guys in that hit the number that was if everything goes perfectly, I want this lift, and it literally seemed like every guy did that. What was it? What was the energy on the floor at that point?
I mean, so I just tried not to watch anybody. I can hear, and I was just stay focused on actually hitting this. So what I told myself was to not watch anybody. So Max was straight behind me, writing everybody's lifts down, saying go up or go whatever the number kind of was. And I originally, after I hit 285, threw 295 on, and then I hear the crowd, and I can see. I saw Ben Smith had 300, and I was then you hear the crowd roar, and I was okay, so he hit it. And then apparently 4 other people in my same lane had 300 on the bar. And I looked back at Max and I said, go for it. And he's like, can you hit it? And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders. I'm like, I don't know. I've never hit it before. So I literally threw 2.5s on, and then when they were like lift, I just ripped it and stuck it. But I mean, it was pretty. Everybody was screaming. It was a good feeling to be able to hit that like in that moment.
When did you know you were going to stand up with it? Did you know right away?
No, you know what's funny is I feel like I blacked out for the whole thing because I don't remember any of it. I legitimately, like, don't remember any of it. I just know I was like, all right, get set, and I pulled, and the next thing I know, it almost felt like I opened my eyes and I was like standing up, and then I just screamed and threw the bar down. But like in the moment, I feel like I don't even remember it. Like I got done and I looked at Max. I was like, I have no clue what just happened.
Well, I just have
even
to
when
say,
you watch the video back now, you don't remember it.
I mean, bits and pieces. I mean, not really. Like I remember catching in the bottom and like feeling the bar start to press down on my right side and just fighting with everything I had. And then I like looked up and then everybody was standing and then I just threw the bar down. It was very weird.
Brian, what's the legality if he would have put it 2.5 pounds more on one side and gone for 302.5? Is that the smallest fractional there is?
No, they didn't have any. 2.5s were the smallest they had. So you only could go up 5-pound jumps. So there was nothing smaller than that.
So but 5-pound jumps would be 2.5 pounds, right?
Yeah, but it would have to be on both sides.
You couldn't just put it on one side?
Yeah. So like if I went 5 and then 2.5 on one side.
What if you did it on accident? What would they have counted?
Yeah, I don't know.
Say you had 297.5 on.
What made me think about that is that you specifically said you felt it in your right side, so maybe if your left side's stronger, that's a tactic to use at the games.
Yeah, but I feel like at the games they give us smaller plates sometimes when we get max lifts. But I'll keep that in mind. I'm going to remember that next time. So when I go out on the floor, I'll just sneak one plate on the inside of the left side.
And then say you did 3. I mean, is it legal? Can you do that? Have you ever? What are the rules on that?
People have done it on accident in competition before, but I'm not actually sure what they scored. Didn't Alessandra Pacelli happen to her? And she went from winning the event to getting second at the event one year? I think I'm remembering right.
I want to hear a story where someone won the event doing that.
I think she had won the event. I'm pretty sure this is right, and then they realized that
I feel like it's the other way around. Like people are lifting it, and they think it's one weight, but it's less than what they're ideally going for. So when they enter it, it's wrong. I feel like that's what's happened. Not ideally going up and saying I did hit 302.5 versus 300.
Yeah, he's right.
I was watching the event, and obviously when I was a football fan, I watched just Raider games and Niner games, and when I was a basketball fan, I just watched Laker games. So I wasn't really a basketball fan or a football fan. I was a fan of the teams. And when I was watching the games, I just wanted to see, this year, the semifinals, I just wanted to see the heats you were in. And I did watch some teams and stuff, but I really just wanted to see your events. And I was really surprised at how little screen time you, Ben Smith, and Scott Panchik got.
Welcome.
It was
welcome to my world of the media.
Travis,
you're the best looking dude out there. I mean, you had your shirt on. That's a fuck up on your part.
I'll
take some of the blame for that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like,
hey, dude, if I went to the zoo and they had a sweater on the giraffe, I'd ask for my fucking money back. Because I went there to see his fucking neck. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
I'll remember that. How about this? I'll be sure at most events of the games, I'll rock it with the shirt off now.
But other than that, I mean, it was bad. I mean, there were times you were in first place. Someone DM'd me, I didn't see this, but they were saying in one of the events that Ben Smith won, and they didn't have the camera on him as he crossed the finish line. What?
So
Tell
there's
me.
this is something that I've been involved with.
Only if you agree with me, Brian. Only if you agree with me.
You have to wait. You have to wait for the conclusion. This is something that I've been involved with.
The conclusion is you're right, Sevan. You're right, Sevan.
And at a lot of the sanctional events, and there's a problem with the big problem is the floor layout and the inability for the companies that are covering the events to adapt to the floor layout, in my opinion. So the traditional layout of the regional floors is the long floor that's very easy to shoot and to capture the width of the floor. But like events like Wadapalooza and the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge this weekend, unlike Torium Pro, didn't have that long setup. They had the wide setup. And then it's much more difficult to capture the totality of what's happening on the floor, so you have to approach it with a different plan. The team that was working there at the games, or at Mid-Atlantic, is the games team. Like, they're the ones who cover the games, but they're so used to that long competition floor because that's what Dave always wants. They need to, I'm telling you, they need to adapt their
I think
approach to make
here's
sure that
my
they don't
thought
miss
on
the
how
So
stories.
you don't think it's a bias on Travis? What's your last name?
100%. No, I'm just kidding. I think there should be one screen that shows everybody. That is just the floor, and it shows every single person going at one time. And then if you want the option to see how the actual whatever second camera person is doing that is following around whatever with the announcers and how they're communicating that, then you have that option. Because I think even for like people at home that couldn't come watch, so like my whole family, in those moments when it's like I want to see what's actually happening, you can still pan out and see every single person, which I'm like, that can't be that hard to figure out. Like, you just have one camera that's.
But how would I do that on YouTube? I'm watching
Yeah,
YouTube.
that ain't my problem. I'm not the guy to figure that out.
Well,
You're just the
I'm
idea
giving
guy.
The ideas.
there are ways to do it, and Loud and Live did it for that online competition last in like the fall winter area. They had the opportunity to select which athlete you wanted to watch, or you could watch all of them at once.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Well,
I feel like,
either way, they could have cut to you more. There was a lot of times when you were in first place or tied for first place during the events, and it was just it was driving me fucking nuts.
I know. I saw your stories. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I didn't tag you in some of those because I was using a lot of profanity, and I think of you as sort of like a more clean cut guy. I'm like, I really don't
Go
want
for
to see
it.
this.
Let it
side of
rip.
me.
Let it rip. I love it. Fires me up. Gets me going. I mean, it's definitely frustrating on my side because I mean, I've been in this game for a long time now, and like legitimately, Sean Woodley called me Travis Williams on the podcast or on the announcement. Like, Travis Williams takes the heat. Okay, like there's I get it. The dude dropped out of the competition because he had to go work or something, but like he's not even in the event, and you're getting the name wrong. Like, I mean, it's just one of
Sean
those
Woodley.
things. And then Morning Chalk Up has messed it up about 10 times, and I think I'm finally to the point of like, at first it was kind of funny, like, oh, they're just doing this out of like spite and as a joke, but now it's just to the point of like, all right, this is kind of really annoying. And then even my wife, when I got home, she did like a whole. So when I got home, all the kids were outside, and then there was like a podium, and then it gave me she wrote on a sheet of paper, "Hello, my name is Travis Mayer," and then like created a whole video out of it, like, oh, maybe they'll remember your name now, and all this stuff. Like, when I got home, like literally as soon as I got out of the car, it was great. But yeah, it's just
Did the kids
I mean,
watch
it's
it?
just annoying, to be honest, on my side.
Did the kids watch it?
Yeah.
Someone goes, "Hey, what's your hard on for Travis?" And here's the deal. There's two reasons why.
One, because
I'm all
I
up
gave
in
you a
your
hard
shit.
time.
One, I haven't met any of the new guys, so I don't know any of the new guys. But I spent a lot of really intimate time with the athletes over the years doing the behind the scenes.
Those are good times, man. I'm bummed you're not.
Yeah,
back.
and I really, whenever I hung out with you and who's your coach?
Max.
Whenever I hung out with you and Max, it was just easy. I was like, holy shit, this is so fucking easy. I'm gonna hang out here and get content. These dudes are just so chill. It
That was
so
the year.
easy.
That was the year you like captured all the clown nose and all the other stuff that we joked about, and Brooke Wells losing more followers than I had, and it was great.
yeah, that was awesome. and we just really bonded. And there's just some people back there where they're letting you into their world. Josh would let me do that. You would let me do that. Noah was really great. There were just some people who were really, really. Rich was usually not day one, but by day 2 or 3, Rich was always really, really great. And the women, there really weren't. Yeah, and besides, like the women, there's really no women like that. I shouldn't say that. There's a handful, but the women are a little more. The women are a little more intense. They're like.
They are.
They're not ready to bullshit and make jokes and
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
I
a
feel like
different.
that's literally all we do the whole time we're like at the gym is do that. Is just pick on each other and like have a good time about it. I mean, it keeps it lighthearted and fun. Um, and I mean, I remember that year specifically, like one of the goals Max had was like, let's keep it as lighthearted as possible and just have a good time. And the dude literally brought a clown nose to the games to just joke around and would put it on to loosen the situation up. Um,
And
That
one year I
crew,
was with Noah and he was awesome, and then another year he was a little more uptight, and then on the last day he got all loose again, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? He goes, I was just trying something new this year and it was stupid. I was trying to be more serious. That was dumb. I should have never done that. I fucked
yeah,
everything up
yeah,
by being more
definitely.
serious.
That's definitely not him at all. He's just definitely not that kind of person. He's always, hey, he's happy and hungry, baby. Happy and hungry.
Travis, that crew out there has grown quite a bit this year.
Yeah. I mean, we have, I don't know, there's probably 10 to 12 people that are all high level regional competitors. So you have myself, Noah, Jake Berman, Kyle Bernier, Cedric, Lauren Fisher, Alessandra Pacelli, Alexis Raptis, and Jordan Adcock are all there right now.
Isn't Bryn
So, I
there
mean,
also?
Yeah, Bryn's there. Sorry, I mean, there's a lot of freaking people.
Plus,
We got Kyle
plus your team just did great. Or training
yeah,
think
and then
tanks
the team
team.
qualified. Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely a really good training environment, and we're all kind of following the same structure and plan. So we all get to do most of the sessions together, and then like our independent skill work and stuff we do separately. But as like a whole, you are all doing every single workout together. So you're just getting that next level of push that you're not kind of getting anywhere else. And I think that even translated over to like this past weekend where I feel completely fine right now with just like my body, like my back's a little tight, but in the grand scheme of things, like usually finishing a competition, I'm like trashed, but feel completely fine. But I think that's based off of how the intensity has been going into this year with that many people doing workouts that we're all just pushing it to another level, I think, on each day.
Max is the head coach for all those people?
No, let's see. So Noah, me, Kyle, Alessandra, Lauren. That might be it. And then other coaches under him have Alexis, Bryn, and then another coach has like Kyle and Jake, and then so there's all the coaches that were all there. But yeah, so everybody there has at least Max kind of oversees the whole thing, and then the independent training comes from the specific coach. But then the major group sessions that we do together is kind of like Max writing and overseeing it all.
Do you ever have people come in and like I have a friend who's just went to a super high level jiu-jitsu academy in San Jose.
Yeah.
And it's competition jiu-jitsu, and he basically has to go there and attend the class, but as you're attending the class the whole time you're really just waiting to be invited in. You're not really part of the class until you get the invite. Is it like that with you? Let's say Brian showed up. How long to be part of your comp team? How long would it take before like Max be like, "Hey dude, you can't be here. You're not
Hey,
cut yet."
I mean, you can come try. You can come do at least the first day and see how far into the workouts you get, and then you'd probably be given some adjustments to make sure you're healthy. And I mean, the thing is, most people, if they're doing general CrossFit, they're coming to like my gym, which like so everything is at the hub of my gym, and then part of the other side of the gym, Max like sublets out from me. And then if you're like specifically wanting that or have those goals, then it's kind of you go to them more or less. But if it's pretty much just like pure CrossFit, general health and fitness, they come to me. So
When
I
do
would
they get
I
invited
would
to
bring
your
Brian
side?
in with my people.
Thank you.
But I guess what I'm saying is there an application process? Like how do you get into that? How do you
No, so
get
I mean,
into
like
that
to
group?
be with a coach, you have to go through like their whole questionnaire process, meeting with a coach, getting an assessment, movement analysis, movement screens, and then because most of their stuff is all virtual. So most of their business is not here, just the people that are trying to be at that high level. Most of them have moved here to be able to train in that environment every single day. But they've also been with Max for X amount of time. So then it's already taking away that guesswork. Like, it's not like some random person's going to come in and we're going to allow them to come train.
Unless they were someone established.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, I feel like you have to like still be smart about how you do it and just not allowing like, hey, yeah, all you guys can come. Cause like we have our training group and how we run things and do things where it's not an open gym to literally every person that wants to just come work out. But yeah, that's kind of how it works.
I think I get it. You guys are elitist.
Yeah, man.
So how is that? So what's the name of your gym?
United Performance now. So it's used to be CrossFit Passion, and then we switched it to United Performance when initially the whole CrossFit situation happened, and then so our affiliation is now CrossFit United through like HQ and stuff.
CrossFit United. So that's what your shirt is. You want to talk about your shirt a little bit? I have some issues with your shirt.
What shirt? The shirt I have on?
No, the United shirt you work out in. Looks like you're fucking like your dad works at United Airlines and he gave you that shirt. I'm always like, what the fuck is this shirt he's wearing? Man. United. What are they sponsoring him? Like, what,
yeah,
why
United Airlines.
And I can't read the small print. Can we get a
Yeah, I'll get you a big one. It says performance underneath it.
Yeah, can we work on that for the game? Oh, you probably can't wear your own shirt at the games, huh?
No, definitely not.
Well,
we got to wear we got to wear Noble.
Let's talk about in the future about like a little like so it's people know it's
Boulder.
your gym and you're not just like that's not your favorite. It looks like that's just like your favorite lucky T-shirt you've had since the 8th grade.
Hey, it worked.
United Airlines, the
it
first
worked.
time you were on a flight.
It worked. It worked on not getting me any coverage, huh?
Right. Southwest was the official sponsor, and you got a United shirt on. You got fucked.
Yeah, Delta was the new sponsor. I didn't have a Delta shirt on.
Travis, there were a bunch of guys that did pretty well there that a lot of people don't know about. Do you know about these guys?
Nope.
You didn't know about any
to be
of
honest,
them?
no. I mean, the guy that won, Jason Hopper, that was the first time I've met him and
But Jake should have known about him.
Say again?
Jake competed against him in South Carolina like within the last year, and Jason won that competition. Jake got third. Kyle was there too.
Well, come on, guys. They didn't tell me nothing. I mean, and I didn't really ask. So maybe that was on me. But, I mean, I feel like
I don't know.
in competition, the other people...
it feels like you're very dialed into what you're doing, and that's really good for you, obviously.
Yeah. Pretty much following what they're doing is not beneficial to me whatsoever. So, I mean, he did very well on all the tests, and I was impressed. But yeah, we'll see what happens in Madison. I feel like the games is always a completely different environment for everybody, and it's way more exciting when you get to do 12 to 14 tests versus 6 over the span of 4 or 5 days. So, I mean, the games is what I always enjoy training for, just the different tests that you get to see, the biking, the running, the swimming, that you don't ever get to test at regionals or these other events is just not capable to do. So that's what I really look forward to is at the games are doing those events, because that's what I have fun training and enjoying doing versus like 21-15-9 all the time and all these other rep schemes of doing random stuff, pushing a pig, sandbags over the hay, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I think gets CrossFit even further out of its kind of like barracks of just doing like the traditional stuff, that you get to see how elite the people are by doing these different tests and different kind of avenues of fitness, more or less.
You win the quarterfinals. That's got to be like just a great like just confidence booster, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was good too, just based off of like the podcast you did with Matt and Josh about how I'm not very fit and wasn't doing very good. I'm just kidding. No, they didn't say that at all.
I was maybe gonna correct you. I'm like, should I correct them?
No, I'm just kidding. They didn't say that at all. No. Yeah, during the Open, I was just sick, and it was kind of frustrating that I've been working a lot on things on my own, on the mental side of things, and I wasn't able to really showcase that in the Open. And then when the quarterfinals came around, feeling healthy and feeling good to be able to win that was just a good confidence booster kind of going forward into the semis now. And then now knowing like, all right, the ticket's punched, now keep the main thing, and training for the game. So it definitely was a good feeling to win that and go out kind of knowing there's some good confidence there going forward this year.
Travis.
And so the inverse to that, you did fantastic. You did fantastic. Sorry, Brian, this will be quick. The inverse to that is you do great at the quarterfinals and you get a little high. And then you don't win the semifinals. Does that get in your head then? Does it do the inverse? Is it like, oh, fuck?
No. I mean, I think I just had a few mistakes that I knew were kind of there, that it didn't let me, I don't think it brought me down in any way or had the inverse effect. I mean, each set of tests are completely different. Each workouts are completely different. Like the way the test for the quarterfinal set up, like a lot of those were kind of my jam and things I really enjoyed. And so were some of these that we got this past weekend. And I think it's just still being able to adapt and become the best version of myself that I can on each of these workouts and get the most out of them. And I think I keep doing that for each of these events and learning new things about myself, the better I keep getting. And for me, this event being in person was probably one of the best I've done execution wise, gone into just kind of like how I focused, how I handled some things that didn't go as planned or whatever, was able to let it go, kind of move on. And even though it was like frustrating dropping on the leaderboard to fourth when it could have been a possible second or even first, just those points, like it's frustrating, but then it's like, okay, no, take this as like a lesson learned. And now make sure you don't do that in Madison. And how can I learn and grow from that versus like beating myself up about it? So for me, I think it's kind of like it happened for a reason, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Of course, I want to win, but we're not all Matt Frazier, and we can't all win every single competition and event. And you got to still be on top of your A game and learn from it and be able to grow. And so that's what I'm kind of focused on doing, and excited to take a few days off and then get back to it to dial those things in.
Personally, I think that you have a ton of positive to take away from the weekend. I mean, the four of you guys that were in the top four spots, to me, just look at the point margin and the consistency across the weekend, are guys that are legit top 10 contenders at the games, like all of them. And a couple of them have been, third and fourth before there.
Even Zach Watts, Brian?
No, I said 1 through 4. 1 through 4.
Oh, okay, good.
Watts
Sorry,
was
Zach.
almost 100 points behind Travis. Travis is just 20 points behind Scott. And Jason had an incredible weekend, and we'll see, like Travis said, what he can do. But so I think very positive takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, I think everybody did a really good job, and they all showed up and performed that day. And it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it was fun to be able to just be back in an in-person event. I mean, I think all of us were just excited to, at least for me, I was just excited to be like around people, doing an event, having fans and screaming and yelling. Like that's what's fun. So to be able to, hopefully Madison will be fully packed and have that excitement. That's what's fun. And I think that's what a lot of
You could hear those 35 people that were in the stands when you were out there?
Yeah, I did. I think there was like 36
that's
though.
Awesome. My bad. Are you going to have a fifth kid?
No. Nope.
How do you know? How do you know?
Nope.
Here's my just total I just judge. Oh, you did?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, what other way? Come on, man.
I don't know.
I can't.
Sing us some other contraception. Listen, I figure this is what I figure. This is how I imagine you. You're like this pretty hardcore religious dude, and you believe that God has just given you kids just that will only give you what you can handle, and you and your wife just let it fly, and that's you just rolling. You're just rolling with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not having more.
I'll tell you, this is the Travis, this is the Travis family contraception method. Well, I guess you can't get pregnant when you're pregnant.
I mean, technically that's
so
true.
As long as you're pregnant, honey, this is some fantastic contraception.
That's definitely not happening. So no, we're done. No more. 4 is a great number.
4 is a great number.
I think we're both tapped out at 4. That's I mean, originally when we started talking about and having kids, the plan was to originally have 2, maybe 3, and then we had our second one, and then I was like, oh well, this isn't too bad, and then we had our third one, and then it was like, all right, one more, and I said okay, and then.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So the fourth one was even planned.
Yeah, they were all planned.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
All of them.
That's incredible because
Were you saying yours weren't?
Not really. The first one was I mean, we never wanted kids or to get married or any of that stuff. I'm on the whole other side of you. But then all of us, she saw some women breastfeeding. She's like, I want one of those. I want to experience that. So we had one, and then
you got
and
the
then that's why that's why I'm projecting on you when she was pregnant and I was just like, holy shit, this is the greatest contraception ever. A pregnant woman's the greatest thing ever. And then the other 2, she was like, hey, you need to be... I'll tell you the whole story real quick. So we were doing it in the living room because the first baby was asleep in our room. And she goes, hey, be careful, I'm ovulating. I'm like, all right, cool. So then the next night we're doing it in the living room. What? So then the next night we're in the living room doing it, and she says... She goes, what the fuck did you just do? I go, what do you mean? She goes, I told you I was ovulating. I go, that was last night. She's like, you fucking idiot. And then 2 weeks later, we got twins.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
It was great. It's great. And if we were younger, I would probably, I would take 100 kids now. I can't even.
It's fun,
as you know, but
I mean, I don't think people really understand that you don't understand it until you have them. But I feel like when you grow up, everybody always talks very negative about just children in general and how they ruin your life. You don't get to go do these things. They never sleep. They never do all these things. But then you never talk about all of the great memories and the fun things that actually go down and happen and the growth and seeing them learn new skills and develop into literally little humans. That's what's fun and enjoyment. I mean, I think people always just get caught off and they're pissed off maybe because they didn't want to have a child or something else. But I mean, I love it. I love being a parent. It's fun.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, I definitely don't. I'm not going to say I don't want another one or 100 like you, but I'm very content with my 4.
Yeah, the thing that people also probably don't realize that you can speak to is 2 is harder than 1, but more than twice as hard, and 3 is way more harder than 2. And I can't speak to 4, but like it's like having 3 dogs. Like 1 dog's hard, 2 dogs is kind of hard. 3 dogs is like holy shit.
Yeah.
And I had 3 dogs once, but 3 kids now they I mean, in all honesty, they have you outnumbered.
Yeah.
So there's just
I mean, when you have 1, you can hand it off. Like you get this one, that's fine. 2, it's like all right, we got man to man. You just handle this one, I'll handle this one. 3, you got to kind of juggle a little bit more. 4 is just all right. It's chaos. I mean, thankfully, like. So I have a 5.5 and 3.5-year-old, and they kind of can fend for themselves. It's just our 18-month-old. He's reckless and will just tear the house apart. He's a little terror sometimes, but that's the one you got to watch out for. So it's really just those 2 that we're like, you always got to keep your eye on.
Do you think you'd be a better CrossFitter if you didn't have kids? Do you think you would have been able to dedicate more time to your training, or do you think your training is right where it should?
No, I think it's right where it should be. I mean, I think it also helps give me a better reason to push and drive and moments and workouts, and it just gives me a different motivation than not having them. I mean, do I think? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about it, and because I mean, I was married at 24, I had my first kid at 25, so I mean. Kind of in the early stage of being in the games. What'd you say?
I said I don't recommend that, people. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't seem to be the case anymore now. But I don't know if it. I feel like it's just kind of been that's how it always naturally has just gone, and I've just kind of accepted it and learned how to train and adapt around that. And I mean, I'm usually at the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning until roughly 3, and then so I mean, I'm getting 2 full sessions in there, possibly the third one, and then depending on what my training is like, do another one at home because I have like a full setup at home. So I mean, I have time to get all my workouts in and not ever feel like I'm being taken away from my goal of the games to being a parent and stuff. Like, I feel like the timing of how my training and things are structured works pretty well.
Are you honest with yourself? Do you think about your age?
Yeah.
In terms of your career?
Do you think I'm not 30 years old?
No, I believe I believe you're 30. You took a second, a 10th, a first, a second, and then 2 sixths. And I know this is a bit of a stretch to say this, but the guys ahead of you in first, second, and third place, their finishes in the last 2 workouts were first, third, fifth, second, second, first, and you have 2 sixths.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we see in older athletes is that they can compete, but their recovery becomes the first sign of, something like that's the first thing to go is their recovery, you know. So they just still do great in the open. They still, but when it comes to multiple day,
So then what does it say that how I feel completely fine right now? What does that mean?
You're lying to us? I don't know.
I ain't lying to you, man. Why would I got no benefit in lying to you. No, I mean, I think I get what you're saying. I mean, the fact that they're 21 years old and 22, that's definitely
Scott Panchik,
benefit on their
33?
side. But then you also have the experience on my side and the fact that this isn't my first rodeo and the fact that I have done this for a long time. And I know that if you go back and look at other regionals and then you were saying who won, I mean, Brian would probably actually know this if I actually did say it, but it was like who won the 2017 regional, you'd be like, oh, I don't know. But then when you say who won the games, that's where it ultimately matters.
Right.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of things that happen from now until the games, and I think across every single regional or semi, whatever it's called now, but for each semi you'll see differences from athletes last year that competed to then how they perform in the semis this year. And I think just because I'm 30 years old, I actually feel like I'm recovering better now than I was back then because I'm taking a smarter approach on how I recover, how I cool down after workouts. Then when I was younger, it would just be like, oh, okay, I'll just go drink a shake and I'll be completely fine. Where now I'm like, okay, I'll cool down for 10 minutes, then do some stretching, and then I feel completely fine. So I'm just finding different ways around it to suit me and better me for my circumstances. And then things that happen, just I don't base all of that off of what everybody sees, because that's based off the leaderboard is what you see is the 6th and the 6th. But what other people don't see is like, okay, did I have a sickness? Did I have something else come up? But I'm not going to sit there and complain about something that might have happened to me or whatever. It's just, it is what it is. And I gave my best effort for that. And are there rooms for improvement? Yes, I think so. And that's what I'm going to be working on and training on towards the games. So, I mean, I don't.
And I'm not saying I see it. I'm not saying I see it in you, just so you know. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but it's always an interesting component to talk about. Because I know that's true with training also. I know the younger guys, I'll never forget Spiel saying this in a, I don't know, 2009 or 10, that the big thing about getting old in your training is that you can't work, you don't have as much time to work on the technical stuff, like double unders, handstand walks, because you're older and your recovery's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is back then, people didn't have the smart enough coach and approach to how they did things, where I did the reverse, where all I focused on is I used to do 3 to 4 hours of movement work a day to improve position, to keep myself healthy. I mean, you look at the athletes that have been in the game since I was in it, still competing at elite level, is a very slim margin of athletes. One, I still feel like I'm completely healthy. My body's healthy. I feel like I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm recovering faster.
Sure.
And so from that side of things, I think instead of having my one breakout year in 2012 or whatever, and then done not being able to compete anymore because I buried my body into the ground with not training smart, Max is very intelligent with the way we did things early on to keep me healthy so that I do have this longevity in the sport. And now I'm making my 7th trip. So I think the times of back then when people in 2009, it was really just, hey, let's do whatever we can to like jam as many CrossFit workouts as we can into it. Like there wasn't as much thought and process behind it as a coaching aspect of things and how you approach this. How much squat volumes accumulating in the week, how much pressing, how much time are you upside down? Like that's not really looked at. I feel like back then, as now it's a professional sport and people get paid to do this. So then you require that knowledge from other people. Like we have a sprint coach we do sprint work with once a week. We have a swimming coach we do swim work. We have a marathon runner that we do speed work and long distance work. And then you have your movement analysis and PT guy that does the stuff. So I think for us as like an organization, and TTT itself is like, it's a much smarter approach than just pure CrossFit. Like it's about being healthy, moving better, and doing those things. So for me, I think it's allowed me to stay healthy and in this sport for as long as I have because of him from an early age in the sport of being 20 years old and like, hey, no, you need to fix your squat. That's horrible. Like your knees cave in. This sucks. Your overhead position is worthless and garbage. And he's very honest with that when I was very early on. Like, yeah, you can't get a bar overhead without your rib cage, and then finding ways to improve it. And then now here we are. But I think you have to do that at an early age. And now I think as the sport keeps evolving, you have these guys that did start in like the old school CrossFit, but now they're getting into like focusing more on movement, moving better. And we'll kind of see what happens with the sport in the next like 10 years with someone who's had a coach that long. But I mean, Max and I have been together since 2012.
He lives in Georgia. He lives in Marietta.
Alpharetta.
Or
So my team's in
nearby?
Alpharetta. Yeah.
And you guys met through CrossFit?
Yeah. So I used to work with, do you remember Nate Schrader? The Viking, the dude that just shredded beyond belief. That dude, yeah. So he used to like write programs for me, and then he worked with OPT at the time. And so then I reached out to OPEX OPT at that point in time, and Max was a coach there. So then I had a call with him about working together, and then immediately after that call, I was like, this is the guy I want to work with. Like I just knew immediately he was a genius in that side of the field. And so immediately from that point, we started working together. And then in 2014, he came down to my wedding, and then we pitched in the idea of like, hey, this part of our gym is not used. The offices up front are not used. Do you want to move your business down here? Atlanta's a bigger airport. More people can get into it easier than they could in Utah at that point. So the day after my wedding, he's like, hey, can you take me to go look at this house? I took him to look at the house, and then he ended up getting it, and then he's been here ever since.
Damn. It's amazing that you guys have maintained a relationship, to be honest, that's both business and friendship and
coach. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
coaching.
been
I mean, that's juggling a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely we've both started to really figure all that out, and then help each other on the business side of things. And like, that's its own one thing. And then you have the athlete and coach side, that's its own, and being able, and then you also have the shit talking between both of us of like being able to pick those two apart, because sometimes those lines would get a little blurry. But then at the end of the day, we've now got kind of like a good routine where I'm like, hey, you can't talk about this when we're training, and then when we're done, you can let it rip and go for it. But during these times, we have our ground rules of how much trash talking can go on about certain things.
So you guys have a very honest relationship.
Yeah. I mean, he's honestly like a brother.
Keeping it healthy?
Say again?
Wow, awesome. So, and is that the secret to keeping it healthy? Just being super honest?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, like, I've never been a very share my feelings kind of guy, and I would hold things in. And then I remember there'd be times he'd be like, So what do you want to do? Like, how was this? And then we would just sit in his office and I just wouldn't say anything because I was like, whatever, like, I don't want to talk. And he'd be like, all right, you have to tell me what's going on, how you feel, what's the structure like. And then over the years, I've started to develop like, oh, like when you start explaining things and getting that out, then he understands it better. Then we can program better, get a better structure going forward. But yeah, there was definitely
It's almost like having two wives.
Yeah, it is.
Seriously.
But he's not married, so then it's better.
Does your wife ever get jealous of him?
No.
No, all the time you spend with him?
No, definitely not.
I mean, you see that shit. I mean, I'm asking.
Yeah, no,
I'm serious.
the amount of time like at the gym is just me at the gym. The main times we're like fully together, like at events, like we were this past weekend. But no, she's not jealous of Max. At least I don't think so. I'll go ask her when we're done.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Send me a text.
I'll let you know.
Brian, I'm going to let him go. We're approaching an hour. Is there anything you want to...
It's really been an hour? Wow.
I know.
Travis,
time flies with me.
How difficult was the torque tank?
It wasn't. The Prowler was harder.
I love it.
Like, the Prowler in our gym is harder. I mean, I think...
Which workout was that before you talk about it? Because I don't see one called the torque tank on here. Which workout was
Number 2. It was the...
8 Mile? No,
the second one. Ski erg, or torque tank, ski erg, chest to bar, ski erg, torque tank, back and forth. And then it's like the harder you push, the more the magnetic field kicks up. And so it's almost like not benefiting you to go faster kind of thing. So like if you full sprint at it, it doesn't help it, versus if you just kind of push slow and methodical with it, then it's almost better. So it just kind of, I feel like it's one of those things that like doesn't benefit you to actually be faster. It's almost like
so
if you just are kind of smooth with it better, which is kind of a weird tool to do.
Like
but I mean,
you can't really race
like,
it.
do you want to buy this? And I was like, no, because I mean, I feel like we have 12 Prowlers at the gym, and I'm like, I don't like it. The Prowler, when we push that, feels harder than the way when I push that.
What's
That sounds like a stupid device for testing fitness. You just described a stupid device for testing fitness. You're punished for working harder? I don't understand how that would... That sounds lame.
Hey, don't ask me. I didn't invent it.
I mean, not lame to work out with, but lame to test fitness with.
Yeah. I mean, I think from the side of... It seems... I would say in a competition, that's a better tool than a Prowler, because it's the same resistance. It's the same for everybody. Like on the level of like with the turf field or grass field, when you are pushing, there definitely are. I know the whole Dave Castro, and there aren't lanes that are different and whatnot, and the field's sloped in different ways. It's designed to go whatever. But with this, it at least makes it fair. Like, it's all on wheels. It's all going to roll the same. And then just however you maneuver it and push it is on you. So I think from that side of things, it at least makes it an even playing field on the device you're using versus the Prowler, which can be indicated by it got stuck on the tape and now it won't actually push. Like those kind of decisions of like the fact that's come out like 3 or 4 times and people have had issues with it. It's like, all right, well, maybe this will be the new way to kind of solve that problem going forward.
Do you have any bitching about the prize money?
I mean, I just hope Dubai and those other events come back.
They're planning.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where like I get it, but then at a professional level, when you're like, all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay, that paid for what? My hotel while I was there, and then food and gas. All right, that's all gone. So it's like I get it's supposed to contribute towards the trip of the games, but that money's already gone just based off of how it was just put forward to this weekend and paying the registration to get there. Then you have the hotel, all these other things that go into it. I mean, of course, I would like to see it higher. I mean, I think everybody would, just based off of the amount of time and energy we're putting into this. And then for those that don't even make it, like, okay, you just lost a bunch of money. Like for the guy that took sixth, all right, well, sorry, man, that's a bummer. But then, I mean, I think Dubai's done a very good job with it. I think at the games they have it the right way. But I mean, I think there could be a better scenario for the athletes to at least make money doing it, right? Because then the only other opportunity is the games, which I mean makes sense. Like that should be the big one. But I also think there should still be those opportunities. Like Dubai, you get paid out for each workout. Then legitimately everybody gets paid, every single person. So if you took dead last, you at least walk away with $1,000. So for them, that's great for them. And then you're capitalized the higher up you, of course, finish. And at least that's a very substantial amount of money at that point, even if it's not that far, even if it's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 500 for everybody else, however you want to look at it. But at least you're making money on the weekend versus like, I just lost money. If you have like a $2,000 place to stay, then if you have your flight, then all your food, and then if you have family and other stuff coming, and then you're helping pay for that, like, okay, well, there just went your $5,000 like that.
All of this is predicated on the presupposition that this is like, I want to say a professional sport, but even most professional sports are like that. Like once you fall to the top 150 golfers in the world, they're all paying to try to be professional golfers. They're all trying to pay. They're all paying to be on the tour. And here's what's weird to me, just from the inside of working at CrossFit. The games were just supposed to be a party. They were just supposed to be a place to celebrate fitness, 2007. And then 2008, it got bigger, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And maybe the lack of prize money, from some people's perspective, and their complaining is just, hey, well then it's, I mean, it's predicated on capitalism. It's the same reason why the WNBA doesn't get paid as much as the NBA, right?
Yeah.
If so, part of me, like when I hear people complain, and you didn't complain, by the way.
I think the thing for me is you're
not complaining.
I'm not complaining because I don't do it.
No.
I don't do it for the money. Yes, the money's
right.
Of course, what pays my bills and does that side of things. But I compete because I love the sport in CrossFit, and I wouldn't dedicate this much time if I didn't get to try to prove myself and what I was capable of doing. Like that's what I enjoy doing, and the unknown of knowing what we're getting into every day. Like that's the stuff to me that is fun. I mean, of course, getting paid for it and compensated for the amount of time and effort we're putting into it. And then when you're looking at like, okay, so there are only 40 people in the world that are qualifying out of this, having some, or at least helping the athletes out when they get to Madison. Hey, half your room's covered. Here's some food, like some other way than like, not for me personally, but other athletes of like, they're having to pay for their entire room. They're having to pay for legitimately everything to get to that point, and then can still walk away with absolutely nothing. And you're looking at the top 40 athletes in the world in our sport. I get it came from a party, but it's also developed into a pretty major thing now of having these massive companies involved to be able to put money into the athlete as well.
Charles Oliveira just won I think it's lightweight, 155-pound division at the UFC.
Yeah.
And he jumped over the fence and he looked at Dana White and he said, "Thank you so much. I love you so much. You've given me the greatest opportunity in my life, and you've changed my life." Well, we're only 5 or 6 more fights away from him if he continues to defend the championship belt before he's talking shit about Dana because he wants to make more money.
Yeah.
And so there's also that too. I feel like all the bitching comes from the guys who've made it into the top 3, and then they taste that and they want more, right? They taste that. I mean, there's no question, you know, people who are like Matt selling his programming is making a fucking killing, right? Because he won the games 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's just a really, part of me thinks that you almost have to be I mean, you have to be stupid to enter, try to become any professional athlete and think it's going to make you rich. It's got to be the hardest way in the world to do it, and especially a CrossFit athlete.
Yeah.
So I get a little annoyed by it, so that's why I bring it up. You know, It's like.
So you're in the side of saying it should be where it's at, shouldn't be.
I have no idea. I I have no idea, but I think it's predicated on capitalism, right? If we were selling golf balls and golf tees and golf clubs, and you know, I heard that in a single weekend, golf courses make more money than all the revenue in the entire year for the NFL. You know what I mean? The whole golf ecosystem switches more money hands than the NFL does, and it's like, yeah, well, like CrossFit's huge and tiny at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're looking at major
fucking
sports,
hard, and it's
tiny.
fucking hard.
Yeah,
you know, and same with the UFC. It's huge, but also tiny.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, and it's hard.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
so hard.
I think
so I don't know
that are at our level that are doing this is because they love it.
Right.
You know, like,
and
the reason I do it every day and I wake up is because I genuinely enjoy what I get to do every single day. I mean, the people that,
and I don't know.
I think like the LeBrons and the Tom Brady's, like, they probably love what they do, but they're also getting compensated extremely well, and that even makes the like, oh, okay, this is even better, you know. But at the end of the day, like, they still love what they do. So, yeah, I don't know.
And there's people who parlayed it into becoming millionaires. I mean, I just recently spoke to Ryan Fisher and Marcus Philly. I don't even think Ryan Fisher ever went to the games, and he's fucking killing it.
Yeah.
And then you got people like Marcus Philly, and look at Miranda Alvarez. I mean, that might be the biggest success story coming out of CrossFit. Street parking.
Oh yeah, she was getting back in the day, right?
Well, I mean, maybe she was. It was so long ago, I don't even remember. I mean, I know she was on teams.
Yeah.
And then of course Matt and Rich and those guys, I don't look like they're hurting for money either.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you perform.
Yeah, and parlay the opportunity into something.
Yeah.
But you'll never do that if you don't get camera time.
Yeah.
Well, although Ryan and Marcus did it without, I said you'll never do it without camera time.
Yeah.
But although Marcus and Ryan did, and you have a very beautiful house, so you must not be doing too bad yourself.
A ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Marcus is literally nonstop with legitimately everything. It will be like 15 videos in a day of.
All you OPEX guys have like something about you. You know that? You guys who came sort of through somehow who were attracted to James Fitzgerald. You're like you guys probably go through soap faster than people who just did regular CrossFit and never went the OPEX route.
Yep.
You guys like a little more fastidious, clean. You probably get your hair cut more often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we definitely keep ourselves.
You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Marcus Philly, you. Yeah. Not Brian. Brian went through the OPEX route too, but he's fucking missed the bar of soap classes that James must have been teaching over there, and the shaving classes.
Travis, how accurate do you think the true form runners are?
To normal running, not at all.
Why use them in a live competition?
I don't know, man. I just want to run outside. I mean,
that's what I think everyone wants to see too.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, we do want to see you run outside.
I think everybody. I mean, I think for that scenario, inside, like the way the whole stadium is and whatnot, I guess like that is the best they could do. But I mean, I feel like you could also save a bunch of money by having everybody run outside and not pay for the true forms.
How about just inside? Everyone wants the best part about the games is when you fuckers are forced to start at the starting line together and we get to just laugh at you.
Yeah.
It's like just bulls fighting and we know someone's going down and there's going to be pushing and there's going to be a story at the end about how Travis pulled my hair or some shit.
Yeah, pushed him under the water.
Brian, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean,
the only good point about the air runner is this. It makes regular running all of a sudden more interesting. Like if you see regular running, you're like, this sucks. And you're like, oh, no, you want us to show you what really sucks? We're going to put 20 guys on air runners.
Yeah. I mean, I think that
you want to complain? Next time we're going to make them jog in place. What?
The timing of like the running, like we have 2 assault runners and a true form in the gym. And if you're like, hey, let's all run 400 meters, they're all completely different. Every single one of them. You're like, oh, this one's faster. This one's a little slower. The true form, you pull way more with your hamstring. The assault runner's more like natural running, it kind of feels like. But yeah, it's just I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just to be able. I mean, at least they had running in it. So for me, I'm like, I'd rather have, if it's running on that or no running at all, I would rather run on that than not have anything at those events because I feel like that is a big separator on these events that when you do get to the games where there's 6 running events and then you never tested running in any of the stages to get up to that point, you can have different top 5 finishers based on that.
It was great in LA when you guys would run in the stadium and up over the top.
So awesome.
That shit, the crowds
Loved it.
love that. And you guys are running inside the stadium, and we get to watch you climb that hill and then come down, and then you guys kind of jockey for position as you come down that long flight of stairs.
I mean,
That
that
shit
was
was
a lot
amazing.
of gaming too. I love that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you just made me hate. You just gave me a new hang up, Brian.
What?
I hate those runners. You just gave me a sickness. You gave me a disease. I hate those runners now. It's pointless. I see that as lazy programming now.
Did you
We've
hear?
seen-
Is
we've
it
seen
official?
competitions
I heard
like that.
there's a cease and desist on Assault Fitness for the treadmills. Is that true?
Say that again.
Like a cease and desist from Woodway.
What's Woodway?
They were like the first original runner.
Curved.
Oh, and now they're telling Assault to stop making them.
I think so.
Are they going to tell who makes the True Form?
True form.
Are they going to tell? Did they tell True Form to stop making them too?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I feel like
All those guys.
I saw something on like Morning Chalk Up. It was just like a quick little paragraph, and I read it, and I was like, "Huh, I wonder how true that is." And
well,
the
all
fact that
those
now,
guys.
Echo Bike is the
Official
sponsor of the games. Yeah, so now
Yeah, not a fan of the Echo Bike. Not a fan of the Echo Bike.
why not?
It just doesn't feel like a real bike to me. It feels like a 19. The first 30 seconds are great. You're like, man, this has an amazing build. Man, this is really smooth. And then all of a sudden, I start having flashbacks of those 1970s bikes where they have the rubber stopper and you squeeze it tighter onto the wheel to add resistance.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's something like that going on here that's creating the resistance. I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, see, my thing from an affiliate owner standpoint is that withstands a class way better. So I just bought 12 of them, and they
That makes sense.
hold up way better. So then I had 15 assault bikes, and I replaced 5 monitors in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like,
Wow.
the amount of money I was putting back into the assault bikes, I had guaranteed at least one pedal snap off probably every 4 to 5 days, maybe every week and a half. One pedal would snap off. So then, like,
Oh, I just have the Assault Bike in my garage. It's just me.
see,
And it's easy to move around.
yeah,
and-
when it's just one person, like I have one in the garage and it's great. But when you have 200 people in a gym nonstop, the Echo Bike just is way better for a class structure.
Yeah, it's a tank.
Yeah.
All those people in that space are making more money than God right now.
Oh, yeah.
Assault Bike, Road,
Peloton.
just the
Smashing it.
Peloton, the C2. I've been hearing some of the numbers, and you can just see how many employees. I mean, I don't think anyone in Ohio works for anyone else besides Bill.
I mean, that company has taken over everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing it.
And it all started
Travis,
with CrossFit.
Did you see what Sam Quant said today?
Say that again? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you see what Sam Quant said today?
What? No,
Has
no.
anyone told you about it? I
No.
just was he put up a post on Instagram about some chronic illnesses that he's been having for on and off for the last 5 years, actually. That he's been hesitant to share
Shouldn't
with
have got
anyone.
the vaccine then. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
But I was only asking because
What? Did it go into detail or it just said?
it's a little vague. I think it reads as if it was hard for him to write it, but he felt like it was an appropriate time to. But he also made it very abundantly clear that he didn't want to advertise this. He doesn't like excuses. So my guess is that none of you guys had any idea about it either. Like he wasn't talking about it or letting on in the athlete area at all.
No.
Yeah,
Not
that's
a
what I
clue.
thought. I don't know.
This weekend didn't turn out the way I had hoped. I know that many people have been asking why, and as hard as it may be, I do feel like I owe an explanation. I hate excuses. I feel like there is always an excuse to be said about why a performance wasn't its best, which is why I've kept quiet throughout my CrossFit career about various things, even to the point that my coach didn't have the full story until very recently. However, I've realized that I've been holding myself back from my true potential for years by not fully acknowledging this. Since the 2017 season, I've had an erection that will not go away, which makes it very hard for me to run long distances. I made that part up.
Dude, no.
The 2007
when you read that part, I was like,
Since the 2017 season, just before my worst CrossFit Games finish, I have been dealing with various forms of chronic illness. The flare-ups come without any apparent cause and have been a pretty big hurdle for me over the past 5 years. Seemingly unrelated, leading up to the MAC, I don't know what that is, I started having trouble breathing during exercise and following workouts. We thought it was just seasonal allergies, but it was clearly more. When I got to Tennessee, I had a pretty severe outbreak in hives that put me in urgent care for a couple of days before the competition and was given medication that left me feeling super drained. So he's saying that right before this competition, he was in the hospital?
yeah.
My God. Each day of competition, I debated whether I should withdraw, but decided to finish it despite how I felt. God, he's a savage. He took 12th, right? Each day of I just didn't want to go down without a fight. It may seem like a setback for me not to make it to the games this year, but I think it may end up being the opportunity I need that will force me to really buckle down and get these things resolved. Moving to Boston to train with the Comp Train crew has been the best possible move for my career, and my coach Harry has been amazingly supportive since I've opened up about what's been going on. Thank you to everyone who has believed in me, and a huge thank you to my coach and Comp Train team for the support as I figure this out.
No, I didn't know about any of that. Well, hopefully it's
So you got to say something more than that. I just read a lot of shit. You better say something more than that.
What?
I said you got to say more than that. I just read a lot of shit. You got to at least give me 30, 40 seconds. Was he a nice guy? Did he
No,
seem
he's a super nice guy. I mean, from the communication I've had with him, I mean, I feel like most of us, when we're all back there anyway, it's very just kind of quiet. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing and getting warmed up their way, and everybody kind of gets in the zone. So the amount of talking from the time I was there, like I would show up probably an hour before, and then I would leave and then go back to the house in between events. So it's not like I was really even there hanging out. But I mean, for like the few minutes, like, hey, how you doing? Doing well? Good. Yourself? How are your kids? Like that kind of talk. I mean, he's always been super nice, and I've competed against him for a while now. But I definitely did not know about any of that. And I mean, hopefully that he gets that kind of situated. I'd be curious to know actually like what it is that's causing it, and then to break out in like hives and stuff. I'd be like, just to actually like know. I mean, that's definitely a bummer going into the weekend, having to go to urgent care and not feel well. I mean, you don't want that upon anybody. You want to compete against everybody at their best to see how you actually stack up and do, and you hope that the best for everybody. So hopefully he gets all that kind of squared away and comes back healthier than ever.
Shellfish.
It's the thing that that Fraser talks about. You know, with this format, you only have that one weekend, that one opportunity to qualify, and if something just happens, unfortunately, that lines up with that weekend, you know, better luck next year. And he always thought that that was like a risky game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I mean, I definitely agree with that. The way the whole structure of it does line up is that, I mean, I think in that situation, it's hard because like he legitimately had something and it affected his performance. But then I think I will give CrossFit the benefit of the doubt of adding that 6 through 8 spot to add a last chance qualifier was a good idea to give those people, like, if something did happen or coming up slightly short, like it still gives them an opportunity to still qualify. I mean, in his situation, just having something legitimately happen right before the event, that's a complete bummer. And all the work you put in to not actually be able to be shown is very frustrating. Like, thankfully for me, it happened during the Open, and I just needed to place top 10%. So it kind of, you know, like it's a bummer for him that it happened at that point in time. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely frustrating, but I don't know. I mean, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how you would figure that out to be fair for kind of everybody, you know, like, because sometimes that just is the nature of the game, is things do happen. And that's just like, you're not going to change the Olympics because the way you try to qualify, like, and it just didn't work for that weekend, you know, like, I feel like that's just the name of the game sometimes. And it's extremely frustrating, but I also think it teaches you a lot about yourself and for him, maybe this was like best case scenario. It allows him to actually figure out what is going on, how he can fix it, and then come back stronger, and then not have something like that happen. I mean, it's just it really is a bummer that it did happen. So yeah, I don't know.
Peace. Damn, I wish I was cool enough to do that. Peace.
And then just sign up. That's it.
Yeah, and just sign off.
I thought you did actually.
I did